Hickok 45 here, and the year is 1876. You know how I know? Because I have the firearms from that period of time. Yes, you didn't know it, but it's 1876. We're going to talk about what it would be like if you were armed in 1876, what you might be armed with. And here are three choices you might find yourself armed with. Colt single action, Army, imagine that. A double barrel shotgun with hammers, yes. And an 1873 Winchester, although this is a reproduction. But these are three of the firearms or types of firearms you might have been carrying if you found it necessary, important to have firearms, a shotgun, a rifle, and a handgun, which many people would have had. Might not have been carrying all three of them, but they would very likely have had one of these if they had any means at all and able to purchase them. And let me just show you. We're going to shoot real black powder just like they fired back in 1876, except they didn't call it black powder. It was just gunpowder, right? Watch this. Oh man, that is gunpowder. I can't see the target too well, but I can hear it. That was the important thing. Yes, 45 Colt with black powder, lead bullet. Is that cool or what? And I don't think they load black powder shotgun shells, but I happen to have some. So we're going to fire that too. Look at this. Watch this now. Woo! Oh man, this is going to be a boom. We got another one. Let's go ahead and shoot the watermelon. I think we hit him. Let's fire it again. Couldn't fool you, could I? Oh yeah, black powder. Cool. Oh boy, is that the ultimate or what? Well, I'll let you come around and help me clean it, and we'll see how ultimate you think it is, right? Get away, bug. Yeah, we're going to fire real powder from the 1870s. Now again, we can't reproduce everything. I do happen to have Colt, I have all the firearms like that might have been carried in 1876. Not exactly, vintage guns. I have some, but if we do more of these, it won't always be a firearm made, that actually dates to the year, but it will be a firearm that is similar, a good reproduction of it. So that's what we're doing. And again, these didn't come from, okay? So what else? Pretty cool, huh? These are some of my favorite firearms. They happen to be. But if we were doing the year 2019, we would have three of my favorite firearms as well. I have favorite firearms from every era, as you have probably figured out by now if you have been seeing any of our videos. So these are the three, and I'll talk a little more about them. 1876, I can barely remember that year because it goes back so far. I do remember, though, just for those who are history challenged, or you wouldn't have to be history challenged, historically challenged, but it was interesting times. It wasn't all that long after the Civil War, 10 or 11 years, and it hadn't been that long into the cartridge game. Metallic cartridges, a few years. Late 60s, 1873, the really big year, that we moved full bore into cartridge firearms, but there were some before that. And I've got the old, two of these really represent that well, the rifle and the handgun I'll talk more about. But interesting time period, the early days of cartridge guns. And a lot of the westerns you see are based on those years in the 70s, or at least they should be. Sometimes they don't get it right. The mid 70s and up into through the 1880s. That's kind of the heyday of carrying, firearms like this. And just to give you a little reference, the 1876, a year we chose, was the year that Wild Bill Hickok met his demise in the number 10 saloon in Deadwood. Got shot back the head. I've been there, saw where that happened. Sorry I wasn't there in time to warn him. I was a few years later. Also, it was the year of the Battle of the Little Bighorn. So, you know, Custer met the same fate, right? In 1876. What else? The Adventures of Tom Sawyer was published in 1876. Bet you didn't know that. Regarding firearms, the 1876 Winchester came out, which was a lot like the 73, but a bigger bore. It was like a beefed up 1873, just like this one, kind of like this one. Same system, and in bigger cartridges. It wouldn't have been available like early, I guess, in 1876, but it was their Centennial model. Centennial for what? Think about it. 1876, 1776. Something happened about 100 years prior to 1876 that was pretty important to all of us, right? I'll let you do some research on that. You might figure that one out. Regarding firearms, I don't know what else. You know, that was also the year that the James Younger gang, Jesse James, heard of him? Their gang tried to rob the Northfield, Minnesota bank, and it didn't turn out so well either. So a lot of action in 1876. I can barely remember that. I was so young I couldn't even read the newspapers, and the internet was down where I was living, so didn't really pick up on that. Also, have a coin to commemorate 1876, a silver dollar, a trade dollar. A lot of interesting history behind that, but it was made in 1876. So just for the video, more or less, picked that up in Clarksville at Tia's Coin Shop. Pretty neat coin. Pretty good shape for having that much age on it. So another original piece of history. It's real. Just like, well, a lot of the firearms you see here are actually real, and some of them are very old. And there's just something really neat about an old piece of hardware, maybe a coin or a firearm, that was actually used back in the day. You've seen my 1886 Winchester. You've seen some of the firearms, the old Remington rolling block and different things. So, but now these, again, for this endeavor today, this is a reproduction Henry of the Winchester 1873, okay? A really nice replica of the Winchester 1873. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to fire the 45 Colt I have out today in it, because that was not chambered in 45 Colt. So we're not 100% accurate on some things. You can't be on everything. So we're firing 45 Colt. Now, if it really were 1876, I would have this chambered in 4440, 44 Winchesters, they called it back then. And that would have been the chambering. But today it's in 45 Colt, because that's what I have. Now, they make these chambered, I think, in 4440. So, you know, but I never did have one. So this is a remake of the 1873 Winchester. And again, if you've seen our video, I think we call it 1873. It's a big year, because that's the year that rifle came out, and so did the cartridge for it, the 4440. They called it 44 Winchester at the time. It was also the year the 45 Colt Single Action Army came out, you know, and the 45 Colt cartridge came out, okay? So very big year. You know, I mean, they were so popular that I think people back then just knew that those rifles would last a long time. And guess what? Here we are in 2019. We're still shooting them. We're still shooting this thing. In fact, let's load it and shoot it. Yeah, 1873, and in the year 2019, people are still buying these guns, replicas of them, and firing them. And some people are so brainless, they're even firing black powder in them, right? People like me. Now let's just do that. I'll put him in the holster. All right. Yee, doggies. What should we shoot? Oh, let's just try that 2-liter right there. This is the Davy Colt. Hopefully you've seen the video. I think it's Colt Single Action 3 Generations, where we explain the Davy Colts. All right, a little smoke. Let's shoot the target. Yeah, there's one of these somewhere. Woo! For me, this one. One for John and one for little Davy one day. Nice. This print's a little high. Let's, speaking of high, let's shoot one of these pots. Bounced into the stop sign. I think I'm empty, aren't I? I am now. Yeah, man. Woo. Yeah, this is a special gun. It's a third generation, but it's really special because there's 3 of them consecutively serial numbered. So get to that video and take a look at it if you haven't seen it, okay? Colt Single Action Army, 3 generations. Put some oil in here, keep it going, because I might want to shoot it again. Okay, when it's a hot day and sunny and you shoot black powder, at least with the new black powder. I think in the old days it wasn't quite as bad, I've read, but it will harden up on you. You just shoot a firearm and then let it lie around for a while. You know, so it's always good. I used to do this, as I've made mention of before, when I was shooting cowboy action matches in black powder. I would, you know, just keep them kind of lubed during the match when I get a break. So I talked about that firearm a lot. That came out in 4440, and again, this is 1876. So, you know, that was a wildly popular rifle if you could afford one. Again, it was like the first real popular lever gun centerfire rifle in a nice cartridge, and it held a lot of ammo. It's reliable, well made. You know, it was you had the Henry, then the 1866. 1866 still fired the rimfire cartridges, and this thing fired the centerfire cartridge. So pretty nice. People wanted one if they could anyway get one, and so. You know, in the mid-1870s, 1876, this would have been a really first choice, unless you were, let's say, a buffalo hunter maybe, you were going into the mountains and hunting big game all the time. Maybe you would rather have had, you know, a Sharps rifle, a Remington rolling block, just something bigger, you know. But with this, you had more firepower in terms of capacity. Pretty nice, pretty nice. So 1873, big year. Most of the Westerns you see, this is what they should be carrying, okay? I mean, really, I'm gonna say most, not in every one, because they're usually set in the 1870s, 1880s. And what are they usually carrying? An anachronism, an 1892 or an 1894 Winchester. And for my relatives in Kentucky, let me take just a short aside here and give them a little lesson. 1892, 1894 came after 1876, a good while after 1873. Yeah, so just so they will know. But so they shouldn't be using those firearms, you know, but they do. It's a lever gun, they just figure. I'll shoot a couple more of these. And then also in the 1870s, if you were carrying a shotgun, most likely it would have been a longer barrel. Yeah, you could saw them off, and people did it. You know, we like these coach guns and everything. But most of the shotguns that you see in the old pictures and everything, they're not this short, all right? But, you know, some are. And all it takes is a hacksaw to shorten them. And back then, you wouldn't have the ATF after you if you did that, right? But it would have been a hammer gun in the 1870s, okay? Now, one of the hardest things to research, I think, is shotguns. And exactly, you know, get exact years on things, but pretty much ballpark in the 1870s, these came out with the hammer, you know, the doubles and the hammer, you know, got away from the percussion and everything, you know, breech loading and using cartridges, cases, brass generally, or paper shells and everything. And they were hammer guns like this one, okay? So in 1876, you very likely had a hammer gun. I think it was the 1880s, maybe literally 1880, before you saw internal hammers, okay? So y'all are shotgun experts, you can elaborate on that, but it was about 10 years later, I think, before the shotguns, as we really know most of the doubles today, you know, with internal hammers, came about. So, but it wasn't the 1900s or the 20th century. Yeah, it wasn't the 20th century like a lot of people think. The internal hammered shotguns actually were out in the 1880s. So let's fire a couple of these babies. You want to? All right. Oh man, it doesn't get much better than this, does it? What should we? Let's shoot something that hasn't been shot and see what it looks like here. Once the smoke clears, we'll shoot the cowboy with the right barrel, and then the tombstone with the left. Okay, put some on. Let's try this. Takes a while to get a look at it, doesn't it? Ooh, nice. I think the left barrel patterned a little better. I don't know. Oh boy. So that's what you'd have been carrying. more importantly, that's what it should look like, or would have looked like, firing all these things. That's why I am demonstrating my love for you all today, right? Because if you've ever fired black powder, anybody you know who has, the cleanup is another operation, isn't it? And so all three of these, I am going to have to clean up the black powder from. So it's an act of true love. 3 different firearms. When I shoot black powder in one firearm, it's an act of love, extreme love. But 3, wow, especially this beautiful Colt, brand new, like new. Okay, now let's fire this baby. The old Winchester. I use this one a lot in cowboy action shooting, and it's been loaded and fired black powder a great deal. So is that shotgun. So these were easy to load, they were smooth to load. Again, they were never chambered in 45 Colt, but for one thing, the 45 Colt rim was a little bit smaller back then, and it was harder to manipulate it in well, lever guns and that kind of thing. And then I don't know, there were also, you had the Winchester versus Colt, issues and all that. But nothing wrong with the 45 Colt cartridge and a rifle. A lot of these are chambered. There's probably more of them chambered now, lever action firearms, reproductions or whatever of the old days, that are chambered in 45 Colt than they are even 44-40. Looks like, don't you hate that when that happens? It won't quite hold whatever the number is I put in there, but it's really close. So, I mean, it is so close, just the barely edge of the rim was a little too much for it. All right. By the way, they didn't carry those in 1876. Sorry to break the mood there, sorry. Okay, black powder. Oh man. When I have to scrub all these down and clean them, I'm going to be hating you people. I'll be saying mean things about you. All right, let's see if the sights are on. Oh, nice. Woohoo! We got to go to the gong, don't we? I can't see it. Where'd it go? I barely see it through the smoke. I can see the cowboy though. Let's try a buffalo over there. I rolled him. What a ram. Went high, probably. Went low, probably. Oh man, still got ammo. That was the beauty of the Winchester. I feel like I've been shooting a fair amount. I still have at least 1 round left. And to prove it, look at those 2 paint cans. You think they're close enough to hit both of them? Not one of them. Woo, doggies. Are we empty? Yes. All right, now look at that. That's why it's an act of love. Black powder, what a mess. It's like you spread tar in there. But again, y'all are worth it. You really are. So, 1873, what have I forgotten? Like I say, these came out in 44-40. Great cartridge, great rifle, beloved and still beloved. The Colt single action, 1873. And again, part of the reason for 1876 is, I don't know how many people would have had an 1873 Winchester in 1873, when it first came out. Just like with the Colt, I think these were made for the military, and there were just, I forgot the number, I've told you in video before, 8,000 or whatever it was that were shipped towards the end of 1873 to the military. They did make some even in 1873 for civilians. It was a small number. So, they wouldn't have been in a lot of people's hands or holsters, for a year or 2 or whatever. So by 1876, should have been fairly common for someone to have one of these and one of these and one of these. Okay, so not saying these are the firearms I definitely would have chosen, even though I like all of these. There were other choices, but these, what we're saying is, these were three of the firearms that that many would have chosen and did. Okay, and if you could go back and interview folks, you know, go to the Dodge City Saloon or whatever, and talk to cowboys or bar hanger outers or whatever, you know, loiterers that had firearms or had a shotgun, a pistol, and a rifle. It'd been interesting to interview them. Okay, what are you packing there in your holster? What do you got on your saddle? What's your rifle? And what's your shotgun, if you have a shotgun? And it would have been an interesting interview, wouldn't it? And some of them would have been these three, no doubt about it. And you'd also had, in 76, maybe a Schofield. You could have some other firearms. We won't get into all the other possibilities in here, but these are three of the firearms that, that a person in 1876 might have been armed with, and that you or I might have chosen, right, for whatever reason. You might even have had another firearm, handgun in mind, but you were in a gun shop. You know how that kind of thing goes. You're looking for your first handgun, and you know, they ran across one of these. You were thinking maybe a Smith & Wesson, but oh man, it's a little rough, and the barrel was nicked up. It's a used firearm, but I can afford this one. You know, this will save me money for a shotgun. But if I buy this and it's mechanically sound, I kind of wanted that Smith & Wesson, but and for whatever, maybe Dad or my buddy loads ammo for 45 and he doesn't for 4440. You know, whatever, just same reasons that you or I might have today, right? So people would have ended up with this combination, perhaps. And you know, and what else I can lie to you about? A good old hammered shotgun. Now it might have been in 10 gauge, you know, different gauge. It's 10 gauge, I think, is more popular back in the day than it is today. And then of course your Colt could have been, and one of the things I didn't mention is this came out in 4440, this rifle, and Colt did make this in 4440, but it wasn't until I think 1877 in the Frontier model, you know, that you've seen here. Okay, so in 1876 it would have been another caliber, you know, 45 or something else, and also there was the Remington, the 1875 Remington, which I don't have, that some people would have chosen. It was in 4440. Later, it was in 44 Remington, I think initially, and it was in later years. It was offered in 4440, the same cartridge that this was in. But I think that was after 1876 as well. So just a little history, enough to confuse you. But these are three of the fine rifles that you might have chosen, okay, in the year 1876. And you might have been carrying around one of these coins on top of that. You might have used one of these coins, although the trade dollar is a little different, but you might have used one of these coins to buy one of these, okay? For the I think the Colts are what, around 20 bucks or something. So you'd have needed a few of them, right, in order to make that purchase. So real black powder and all of these, that's all you, and I need to, can I shoot one more before I let you go? Which one should I shoot? I got to shoot this shotgun again. How's that? Just have to do it. Oh man. Oh, let's shoot this paper target. Oh, there's a 2-liter down there too. All right. Now I'm not going to shoot a bowling pin. Let's shoot this paper. Woo! I messed her up. Remember, you don't shoot bowling pins with bird shot or anything short of a slug, really. Probably not safe. Oh man. And you know what else I'm going to do? Since I've got it dirty, I'm going to load this thing. Okay, shoot it. I mean, it's the same cleaning whether you've shot it 100 times or 5 times. So I might as well have a little more fun while you're here, okay? I don't care if you miss dinner. I mean, sometimes I do. But, you know, today, since I'm shooting black powder, I am not going to be so sympathetic. I've got to clean while you're having dinner, a leisurely drink, reading the paper, surfing the internet. I'm going to be working on these firearms, trying to get them back like new. And there I did that again almost. Okay. So again, as I've mentioned before, envision this now, what it would be like back in the day, firing these firearms, you know, especially indoors. I mentioned that before, firing one of these like inside a bar room, in a dimly lit bar room. It wouldn't take much before you wouldn't be able to see anything, would it? Like one shot maybe? Let's see, these are pistol cartridges. Let's shoot the tree here. About lost sight of it. I'm gonna go over there on the gong. Oh, I'm gonna hit that pig if I can. Oh, he disappeared. You have to shoot and move is what you have to do. Whoa. I can't see it. I can't see it. Let's go for the gong. I might be losing accuracy. Yeah, I really might. Let's hold high now. Okay. Wasn't holding high enough. There we go. Oh, shoot the cowboy again. Woo! Look at that. I wasn't trying to make excuses, but I have had personal experience of shooting a lever gun here with another shooter years ago, and I've told you about how I shot his lever gun, laid it aside, was shooting some other thing, went back to it, and the black powder had caked up in the barrel and the rifling to the point we couldn't hit an animal over there to save our lives, either one of us. You hold on a turkey and it might hit like 20 yards up high left, and next shot might be low right, 10 yards. It was humorous. It was so bad because it was like you went in there and filled the rifling, the grooves, with lead or something, and it just caked up. So because it was lying here in the sun like this, baking and hardening. So black powder is a different animal. Enjoy and appreciate your smokeless powder, okay? But also appreciate this stuff. All right, I've got work to do, but I don't mind. I've got maybe 2% cowboy blood in me or something, I guess. So 1876. That's kind of my take on it. 3 firearms that you might have owned or I might have owned and carried if you were armed in 1876. Life is good.
Oh, hi. Since you guys are here, just killing a little time. I've already seen this video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. While you're here, I want to remind you to please check out our friends over at SDI and TalonGunGrips.com. SDI is a fully accredited online distance learning program where you can become associated, get an associate's degree, and be associated with some good people, get an associate's degree in firearms technology, and get certified in gunsmithing. That's SDI.edu. And also, Talon Grips makes grips for grip tape for lots of different types of handguns and other purposes. As you can see right there, they have a lot of cool stuff over on their website. Go to TalonGunGrips.com. I think you'll be glad you checked that out, and also SDI. So appreciate both of those people and support them if it makes sense for you, as we always ask. Also, since you're here, just want to further remind you that we do have a website. It's called hickok45.com. That's HICKOK45.com. Some people try to misspell it on us. So go check that out. That's where you can find all kinds of things over there, like our social media, the real Hickok45 on Instagram, Hickok45 on Twitter and Facebook. I have an Instagram page, John_Hickok45. Let's see, our merchandise is on our website, and also bunkerbranding.com. You can find it there too. And we have videos on Gunstreamer now, so if you want to check that out, watch us somewhere other than YouTube, do that. And also don't forget about our Patreon page. We got some good people over in the Gong Club on our Patreon page, so if that's something you're interested in, check that out. We post videos over there. Occasionally they don't go on YouTube, or you get like an early look, something like that. So check that stuff out. Feel free to watch some other videos, and I got to get back to my axe throwing here because if the apocalypse comes, all the Glocks and 1911s and SIGs and XDs and Walthers and H&Ks might not be any ammo to shoot in those, so might have to resort back to tools like this. So I'll get back to my training, and I'll let you guys get back to watching videos. Thank you.